know when the story started or how it will end. I don't know if it is my story, his story, or the story of a nation entire. Did it start in 1948, 1967? I don't know. But I witness, I remember, I dream, and I must speak. Does the story begin with the fall of a Palestinian village? With a mother's death? Perhaps I can start with the word family. Every family has a storyteller, and this is what I have inherited: the beauty of an era, the failure of a revolution. I come from a sad story so old no one knows what is real anymore. Listen. I grew up without the apples, without the mill, the tobacco, the olive harvest, the 3-day weddings in the village, the gorgeous ruins of a castle. All this occupied geography shunned us. What makes us hold on to that geography still? What would allow us to forget land? I cannot define the limits to the story of Palestine and her people. Nor can I explain my family with words, or video even. Nor can I describe loss. But I will try. I will try. Listen. Hi, my name is Hind Shofani. I'm a Palestinian filmmaker and writer, mostly of poetry. And I was raised in the Middle East, born in Lebanon, and grew up in Syria and Jordan. Luckily, at the age of 22, I was given a Fulbright scholarship to go to NYU in New York City and complete a master's in film. I have wanted to make this film for years and years and years because I always knew that the story of my mother and my father and our extended family between the Galilee and our story in Syria and in Lebanon and in Jordan and in Palestine and in the US and in Dubai is a very unique, singular Palestinian story of diaspora and exile and education and academia and love and passion and separation. But it's also a very common story to all Palestinian families that have been separated because of borders. It is a very personal perspective on a very important era in Palestinian history, in the history of the Palestinian resistance, which has ultimately so far failed. It mostly centers, I think, for me, on the sacrifices my father made and my discovering my father as an adult, because I didn't know him for the first 20 years of my life, as he was always gone into the camps, into the military zones, into training camps. The film is also about the failure of the PLO to liberate Palestine in the past 20 years, and it's a very harsh film in that sense that it doesn't sugarcoat the reality of all of the terrible decisions that were made by the leadership of the PLO. I think the film is more relevant today than ever before in the wake of the revolutions that have happened in the past 2 years in the Arab world. My father lives in Damascus. I haven't seen him in a year and a half. It's been a very difficult time for the family because he refuses to have me visit because we don't know what the situation is going to be like. I wanted to look at what made my father abandon his family so many times, what made him leave a future, why he was obsessed with the cause of Palestine, why they ultimately failed to do what they wanted to do. I started it with my own money. I just hired cameras, rented cameras, filmed it on my own with my father over a few years in Damascus, just slowly breaking down his walls. I personally have scanned hundreds of photos. I have digitized Betamax tapes from the 80s. I have carried hard drives across many, many countries. I have unearthed photos in people's attics. But I wanted to say that I think it's a story that will resonate with many, many people who have experienced any form of loss of a homeland, loss of a mother.
How can a story that starts like this have so much sadness? One day, a man will be the beloved of a woman from his homeland. Far from the Galilee, from the broken shards of what was all once love, Her name, now, will forever line every street in Damascus.
The content of the film in terms of politics and my father's secular stance and his opinions of political figures in the last 30 years has not been very popular with mainstream political discourse in the Middle East currently. Therefore, it has been very difficult to find institutional support from film funding bodies that would be more interested in a commercial film that does not ruffle any feathers. This film will ruffle some feathers, hopefully. I wouldn't have spent years of my life putting this together if I was going to behave and do what I was told or censor myself. We're currently at the very last leg of post-production, so our film is going to be made. We are already editing our scenes. The money that I'm raising through this pitch is to do the color correction, graphics, titles, the output, all of these technical things that are boring to you probably, but it's sort of the last step to make the film look pretty and be able to package it in a DVD and distribute it. I'm exploring my abilities as a poet and filmmaker to tell a story that's very personal without sensationalizing it. I'm criticizing my father in many ways for his decisions as a father and a husband. That's not easy to do. I'm trying to be honest, and I'm trying to be courageous in a way, if that makes sense. And your support for that would mean a lot, not just to me as a woman, but to the cause, to filmmaking in general, to Palestinian history, to art, to the region, to creative expression.
You can be sent all forms of salvation, even if you don't believe it. Flowers will grow where even boots with rifles have tread.
No contribution is too small. Please share this with the people you know who might be interested in being a part of a project that has these intentions and these ambitions and these dreams. Thank you very much.